Hi everyone, today's video is a short practice focusing on opening our hips. This is a place that can be very tight for people, so get in and out of the poses very slowly and gently. Go as far as comfortable for you. I'll give you options throughout the practice. So we're going to get started in a wide leg child's pose. So I recommend if you have a blanket, have a folded up blanket nearby you. This will be good for protecting your knees with some of the poses that we're going to do. And also if you have a couple blocks or maybe a couple of thick books to use throughout the practice. Not needed, but might help out. So let's bring our knees mat width distance apart and bring your big toes to touch behind you. Sit your hips back onto your heels and then elongate your arms in front of you. Stretch your arms out in front as far as you can. Fingertips are nice and wide, and then just start to melt your heart down to the mat. Pushing your hips back to your heels, your heart down towards the mat. You can rest your forehead on the mat, maybe rest one of your cheeks. Whatever feels good here. You can also use your block or your blanket to rest your forehead on, if that's more comfortable for you. And let's just stay here for a few breaths, settling into our practice. Preparing for the poses that we'll do. Settling into our breath. Maybe start to deepen your breath, making it a little bigger on your inhale, and a nice long exhale. Continue that nice deep breathing throughout the practice, really filling up your belly and lungs, and then exhaling and collapsing it all out. Okay, let's slowly come all the way up. Push into your fingers more than into the palm of your hands. Curl your toes under and lift your hips up nice and high to the ceiling and let your head drop in between your arms. And then position your feet to be mat width distance apart like we had our knees in child's pose. Let your heels sink down towards the mat. Let your belly come towards your thighs. Then really hike your hip creases up towards the ceiling. Again, push more into your fingers and your thumb and lengthen through your arms. Head is nice and relaxed, neck relaxed. Let's slowly bring our feet together in the center. Staying in your down dog, lift your right leg high in the air, and then bend your knee and turn your knee up towards the ceiling. So open your hips to the side of your mat and let that right foot just hang behind you. So it's nice and heavy behind you. And then look under your right arm. Let your left heel sink towards the mat and lengthen through both your arms. So really pull that knee up to the ceiling. Let that right foot hang behind. Nice big hip opener here. Good. Now pull that knee into your chest nice and tight. Round through your back. And then place that right foot to the outside of your right hand. If you need to use your hand to help get your foot up to the top of the mat, go ahead and do so. If you have a blanket, I suggest you use it on your mat now. And we're going to bring our left knee down onto the mat. Uncurl your toes and sink your left hip down towards the mat. Stay up on your hands for now and lift through your chest. This is a good place for a block, depending on how you're feeling in lizard pose. So you might want your hands up on a block, or maybe they're okay down on the mat. Relax through your left hips and just let them drop towards the mat as you lift your chest up. Good. Nice deep breaths. Breathing, relaxing through the hips. Looks like we just lost our power. Thankful for a generator. Keep breathing into that left hip and relax through the hip and the leg. Good. Now what I want you to do is scoot that right foot to the outside of your mat and then point your toes slightly out. Bring your right hand to the inside of your right thigh. Push your thigh away as you lift through the left side of your chest. Good. Now just go as far as it feels good for you. And if this doesn't feel good, then go back to the previous pose. So keep letting that right leg go out just a little wider, opening up the hips a little more. Drop your left hip. Keep breathing. Lifting through your heart. Good. Let's bring our hand back down onto the mat. Scoot our right foot back onto the mat. Curl your left toes under, lift your left knee up, then bring your right foot back and lift your hips. So come back to downward facing dog. Let your head be heavy, thighs pull back, hips up high. Good, and then just notice how your right hip feels compared to your left hip after doing those hip openers on one side. Good, now let's stretch that left leg high in the air. Bend your left knee, pull your left knee up to the ceiling as you open your hips to the other side of your mat. Let your left foot drop back so it's nice and heavy as your left knee pulls up to the ceiling. Look under your left arm and straighten through both your arms. Good, nice big breaths. And let's pull that left knee into your chest nice and tight. Round through your back and then place that left foot to the outside of your left hand. You can help it get there as well. Drop your right knee down onto the mat. Lift through your chest, look forward, and uncurl your right toes. And then just relax that right hip down towards the mat. Long breath in, a long breath out. Grab your blocks if they're useful for you here. Just breathe into that right hip. Relax through the front of that right thigh, your hip flexors. Good. Now I slowly want you to bring that left foot to the outside of your left mat and turn your left toes out a little wide. Bring your left hand to the inside of your left thigh. Lift through your left chest as you push your left thigh away gently and only go as far as it's comfortable. And again, if this isn't comfortable for you, go ahead and go back to the regular lizard pose that we were doing before. Stay long in the spine, keep your neck nice and long, and keep your breath flowing. Good, let's come all the way back to center. Heel toe that foot back onto the mat. Plant your hands on the mat. Curl your right toes under, lift your right knee. Lift your hips and bring your left foot back to meet the right foot. Come back into your downward facing dog. Lifting your hips nice and high. Pulling your thighs back, your shin bones back. Melting your heels to the mat. we're going to take pigeon pose. So if pigeon pose isn't comfortable for you, I'll give you an option, but we'll set up pigeon pose first, and then I'll give those that don't want to go into pigeon pose an option. So bring your right knee into your chest, place your right knee behind your right wrist, and then your left foot behind your left wrist. Bring your left knee down onto the mat and just scoot your knee back so that your left leg is nice and long. Lift up through your chest, flex through your right foot. Good. Now from here, if your hip is really high off the mat or this is really uncomfortable, you can either roll up your blanket or place a block underneath your hip. That might feel more comfortable for you. Check it out, see what feels good. But we're going to stay up on our hands for now and lift through our chest. And those of you who are not comfortable in pigeon or your knee doesn't feel good in pigeon, it's okay. Come onto your mat on your back. Left foot will stay on the mat and your right ankle will cross over your left thigh. Flex through your right foot, lift your left foot off the mat. Now you may stay here and this may be enough for you. You can use your right palm into your right thigh to push your thigh away if that feels good. Or you can interlace your hands behind your left thigh and pull your left thigh even closer to your chest. Both really good options for opening up your hip. Just decide what feels best for you today. I'm going to come back into pigeon pose. And we're going to stay here for a few breaths. I'm going to give some options while we're in pigeon pose for those of you on your back. Just stay where you are, breathing nice and deep. For those of you in pigeon, if you want to start to walk your hands out in front of you and laying over your legs, go ahead and do so. You can always stay up here if that feels better, or you can bring a block underneath your forearms. So move around a little bit and see what works for you in pigeon. And once you find the pose that feels good, start to just settle into the pose. Relax into the pose and find some stillness. We're going to take just a couple more cycles of breath. So really take a big inhale and exhale it all the way out, nice and long. Let's do that one more time. Nice deep inhale, really filling up all parts of your body, and then a big exhale, letting it all go. Good. Now if your arms are out in front of you, bring your arms back underneath your shoulders. Lift up onto your left toes, lift up your knee, come all the way back to downward facing dog, bring your right foot back. If you're on your back, just slowly transition back to either a tabletop pose or back to downward facing dog. And let's just breathe here for a moment. Let everybody get into downward facing dog or tabletop. Do it at your own pace. We're not in a hurry today. Perfect. Let's set up for lizard on the other side. So bring that left knee really tight into your chest, and then that left knee goes behind your left wrist. Right foot behind your left wrist, as close as you can get it, and then scoot that right foot all the way back. Lengthen through your right leg and lift through your chest. Flex through that left foot. And again, if this isn't good for you, feel free to come onto your back. And this time your left ankle will cross over your right thigh. Flex through your left foot. Lift that right foot off the ground. Maybe press your left hand into your left thigh, or interlace your hands behind your right thigh and pull your right thigh towards your chest. So either option is really good for opening up the hips. I'm going to make my way back to pigeon. Now if you're in pigeon, either stay here, lifting through the chest, relaxing through your left hip, or start to walk your hands out lay over your legs. Again, you have an option also if you have blocks to maybe bring your forearms onto the blocks, which will bring you down a little more without bringing you all the way down to the mat. So see what works for you today and what feels good. This is about a feel-good class, opening up your hips, just relaxing into the poses. Really breathe into that left hip, relaxing it. Again, let's take a couple rounds of a nice deep breath while we're here in our pigeon or on your back. So take a nice deep inhale and really fill up your belly and your ribs. And then exhale it all out. Let your ribs, your belly collapse in. Maybe pull your belly in. And one more time, nice deep breath in. And then that long exhale out. Let it all go. Perfect. If you're in pigeon and your arms are out in front, bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Let's curl the right toes under, lift the right knee, come all the way back to downward facing dog. Bring that left foot to meet the right. And if you're on your back, just come into a tabletop. Good. And if you're down dog, let's drop your knees to the mat so we're all in tabletop now. Let's sit back onto our heels, and we're going to come to a seated position on our mat. Bring the soles of your feet together and sit up nice and tall. So we're in Baddha Konasana, or butterfly pose. Now, your heels don't need to be right up against your body, so place your heels to where it's comfortable for you in this pose. And then with your hands, you can grab onto your shins and help to keep your knees nice and wide with your elbows, and then pull your chest forward. Or you can wrap your hands around your toes, elbows again more against your shins, and then pull your chest forward. Lengthen through your spine though as you pull your heart forward, and just keep extending your heart forward as you pull your belly closer to your thighs. Let's take a few rounds of breath here, just breathing into the stretch, letting the knees relax. Rooting those sit bones nice and firm into the mat as you elongate through the crown of your head. Neck stays long here. You're going to stretch that right leg out wide, and then the left leg out wide. And then, twitch in my leg, and then just get it set up to where it's comfortable for you. This might be a place you might want to block. So you're going to lift up through your spine, and then start to walk your hands forward. You might use your block to place your hands on. Or maybe you can go as low as to rest your forehead on your block. And if you have two blocks, you can do that as well. So see what works for you. But try to get comfortable in the position. Toes face up towards the ceiling. Your knees are facing up towards the ceiling as you pull your chest forward. And then let's just relax here for a few breaths. Relaxing through the legs. your thigh bones into the mat. That nice deep breathing going. Just a few more breaths here. Just really getting into the hips. It takes time to open up the hips, so don't get frustrated with yourself if they're not as open as you feel like they should be. It takes time, it takes work, so just keep working at it. You'll see progress. Together, let's take one more round of breath. Big, nice, deep inhale. Exhale it all the way out. Nice, let's walk our hands all the way back up. Just bring your feet slowly back in to a comfortable seat, and whatever is comfortable for you. I'm going to cross one ankle over the other, sit up nice and tall. Thank you for joining me today on this hip opener. Hope you enjoyed it. Namaste.